This is Retiring Today. We're continuing the conversation about Secure Act 2.0, and it made a lot of changes to RMDs, which of course those required minimum distributions. Let's stay on 2023 because we know now the age is 73. Okay, the next things that happen is now you don't have to pay as big of a penalty if you forget to take out your RMDs.
What a big reason to celebrate if you miss your required minimum distribution, because with all those rules, it's so easy to understand exactly when you have to take it out. But sometimes people make mistakes. You miss your required minimum distribution underneath old law. That's a 50% penalty on what you were mandated to take out. So as an example, let's say your required minimum distribution was $7,000. You missed it for whatever reason. That's a $3,500 penalty, plus you still have to take out the $7,000 and be taxed on that distribution. So the penalty was decreased in half to 25%, which means instead of $3,500 in penalty, that's only $1,750 in penalty. But they go further and they say, if you take your required minimum distribution out within a reasonable time, which is roughly about 2 years based on their calculation, then they will decrease that penalty further to only 10%. So instead of $1,750 penalty, it would be a $700 penalty. Substantially different than 50%, which was the old law. So this is in effect this year. Mistakes taken on RMDs, you forget to take it out, you take it out late, 25 or maybe even 10% penalty.
And let's talk about those penalties. Who's assessing them, and how do you essentially get penalized?
That's an IRS penalty. So if they find it within the tax filing, they'll send you a letter typically and say, wait a minute, you didn't take out the required minimum distribution, so you owe X in penalty. Or even if you get audited, they're going to dig through all your records and that's going to come up that way. But it's initiated through the IRS.
And people, I'm sure, are aware of these penalties and don't want to pay them. Obviously, who wants to pay a penalty? But then you get a letter from your carrier saying you have to take out your RMDs, and I'm going to avoid the penalty. Yes, I'm going to take out
Absolutely.
my RMD, but now I don't have to take them until I'm 73. I mean, jeepers. If you're trying to do this on your own, I can see where a lot of mistakes can be made if you're not working with somebody who's following all of this legislation.
It can get messy in a hurry, and that's why it's so important for us to stay on top of these legislative changes, because that's not the families that we work with, that's not their job, right? They can kind of look on their own and pay attention if they want to, but the reason we're involved in their plan is so they don't have to. And they can focus on the fun things in retirement, which is the traveling and the grandkids and wintering down south and all that kind of stuff that you have been dreaming about for the last 40 years. That's what you want to focus on, and the families that we work with can leave all that kind of stuff up to us.
Yeah. Another part of the Secure Act 2.0 that goes into effect in 2024 is they're taking away the RMD on the Roth 401k.
That's exactly right. And honestly, that's very exciting because most people would not prefer to take an RMD from their Roth 401k because they would rather have those dollars growing tax-free. And a Roth 401k, what that is if you have an employer-sponsored plan that you're contributing after-tax dollars to, then that money gets to continuously grow tax-free. And currently, under legislation, if you're RMD age, they're mandating you to take a distribution from that Roth umbrella.
And this change kind of just makes sense to me, right? Because Roth IRAs, you paid the taxes on them long ago. They're growing tax-free. There's no RMDs on those because you already paid the taxes. To me, RMDs are, we want to get your tax money. So this just makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense because it makes it less confusing. The Roth 401k plan, you have to take an RMD. Yeah. The Roth IRA, you don't have to take an RMD. So starting next year, 2024, it's gonna the synergies are gonna be there where you don't have to take an RMD from either the Roth 401k or the Roth IRA.
And I'm glad you said the word synergy. That's kind of a buzzword. I like the word synergy because I think of, I'm going to do this here. I think of a comprehensive retirement plan as the ultimate synergy. It is a synergy between my tax plan, my income plan, my investment plan, my healthcare plan, all the things working together to really maximize retirement.
That's exactly what it is. All of those things will go into helping you identify what's the best way to use these resources that you've spent a lifetime collecting to provide you with this freedom of time, which is really retirement. And during this freedom of time, you have all kinds of dreams that you want to try to accomplish. And that's why I really like the online Journey to Retirement workshop that we put together, because through that online workshop, we can identify different strategies that work really well for our hypothetical couple, John and Sue. to accomplish their dreams. And your dreams might be a little bit different, but we're going to talk specifically about how they use the up to 81 different Social Security options. What do they do from a tax planning standpoint to mitigate the impact of their required minimum distributions? So the tax planning strategies, the legacy planning, investment planning, all of those things go together to help them achieve their retirement goals.
And you really get to understand what having a retirement plan means, because often a lot of people think a retirement plan is just a one-time transaction. You come in, you get a plan, and it's done. But retirement, it lasts 20 to 30 years, so it's this ongoing relationship. And you never know what the future is going to hold. There's some things that we can plan for, but there's also going to be curveballs down the road, and you get to finally see what having a retirement plan means, but also working with somebody who's able to manage this plan over the next 20 to 30 years of your lifetime.
Well, this legislation is a great example of why it isn't a one-time transaction, because when this legislation went into effect in late 2022, right away, we're reaching out to the families and individuals we work with. We're saying, your RMD is changing, here's how this is going to impact your plan. I mean, there's no way you can't anticipate that legislation is going to continue to change and it's going to continue to impact retirement.
Yeah, it's always changed, it's always going to change, and it's always going to have an impact on what your retirement plan is. And it's something that has to be baked into your plan. Your written retirement plan is really powerful, but it's written, so it's static. It itself doesn't change unless somebody changes that. The power of that plan is it accurately should reflect the strategies you're going to implement to achieve your retirement vision. So that written plan has to be updated with the changes to help you make these important decisions that you're going to have to make as you go through the course of retirement. Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.